Hello M14 community. I hope everyone continues to stay healthy and safe. Normally we have an in-person parent meeting before we start each program. However, due to the pandemic, we're doing pre-recorded virtual parent meetings. Please make sure you take time to watch this video fully, as it'll have all the information you need for this program. Back in August, the state of Illinois released guidelines for youth basketball. The sport has been classified as a medium risk sport and is at a play level 1 and 2, which means we're allowed to practice, we're allowed to train, and we're allowed to have inter-squad scrimmages with parent consent. For that reason, we've elected to have our normal winter team season turn into battlegrounds, which will be all internal, so we can still have the kids play basketball, still have them have practices and games, which is going to be great for their physical and their mental health, but also do it in a controlled environment, which will keep things a little bit more safe. Now, we've all seen how fast information comes and goes and changes. Just please know that we're up to date with all information as it comes available, and if we need to make any adjustments throughout the season, we'll do that. Before we get into the details of how this program runs, I think it's important that we address COVID-19. This is something that we're all dealing with, and I know we've seen the differing opinions on the topic, but I hope one thing has been clear throughout the whole time. Here at M14 Hoops, we take it serious. We want to control as much as we can control so we can have a safe environment for our families, our players, as well as our staff to play basketball in. On our website, we have a facility guidelines video that outlines all our policies as it pertains to COVID-19, which includes our policy and our protocol if a player were to test positive. After viewing this video, I'd ask that you go to our website. On the homepage, you'll see COVID-19 facility update, and that's where you will find the video that has our facility guidelines on how we are making sure that our facility continues to stay as healthy and safe as possible, especially as we enter into the winter seasons. Let's do a quick history lesson. I started the company in 2009. We recently celebrated our 11-year anniversary, and all we did was development. In 2014, we offered our first summer league. I took players that were in our training academy and I put them in a league during the month of June. The reason I did this was because the toughest thing for any athlete, be it a young player, high school player, or college age or professional player, is to take what they practice on and do it in the game. The summer league was the middleman that filled that gap. It was where we played 5-on-5. The goal was still to win. My staff reffed, my staff coached, the players played, but the goal was for them to use the moves and use the concepts that we had just taught them in the academy in the game in order to get the win. We offered the summer league every year, and we still do, to all the players that we train. Now, a year before the facility opened, we went into teams. We felt the summer league was so beneficial that we infused that into our team season, and we named that portion of the season Battlegrounds. It was where the kids would come back, they'd play against each other, and we'd battle each other, and there was a lot of competition that would happen there internally. But it was all about using the skills and using the concepts that we were teaching them in order to win, and we could control the environment. I say all that to say that this is nothing new to us. We've done internal scrimmages for years, and it really honestly has been the part of the season where we've seen a lot of players turn the corner in regards to their development. And I suspect this winter season is not going to be any different. We're still going to make this competitive. We're still going to make sure that players get better, and we're still going to be able to do this in a safe, controlled environment. If you're viewing this video, you have signed up for our tryout. At the youth level, the tryouts are 2 days. The fee you paid covers both days. We do want players to come to both days. If you can only attend one day, we will use that day as your player's evaluation. If your player can only attend one day, we do ask that you email us to let us know that. The email address you can contact us at is info@m14hoops.com. At the first day of tryouts, we have a skill portion, 3-on-3, and they'll play 5-on-5. The second day of tryouts generally is all 5-on-5, so we can see how each player plays. We'll be evaluating them on their individual skill, but also their on-court play. We also have an evaluation on their body language, their effort, and their ability to listen. Talent is awesome, and we really appreciate that, but we want some players that are coachable as well. In this email that you've received, it will have the door that your player should enter. As I mentioned, we have a COVID-19 policy, and part of our policy is that we're using the side doors to enter and exit the building for all players. So we ask that all parents park in our parking lot, walk their players up to the designated door, face mask on, and get them checked in. Part of our policy as well is we're only allowing players in the facility during the tryout. Parents can stay in the parking lot until tryouts has concluded. We also will be sizing your player for their jerseys once the tryout begins. Please have your player bring their own basketball and bring their own water as well to the tryout. Tryout results will be emailed out the Wednesday after tryouts have concluded. Now, if this was our normal team season, we would call every single parent and we would tell you where your player was placed on what team. However, under the Battlegrounds format, since we're dividing each grade level into 2 divisions, the most efficient way to get the information out is just going to be to email everybody. Now, let me explain a little bit further what I mean by that. So let's take, for example, 8th grade boys. We're going to divide all the 8th grade boys into 2 divisions, our black level or our red level. Black is our highest level. So on the Wednesday after trials are concluded, they will receive an email that says one of 3 things. Number 1, you made the black level, congrats. Number 2, congrats, you made the red level. Or number 3, unfortunately, you didn't make any level. Parents, we want to make sure that this is still competitive and it's beneficial to everybody. So please understand this is a real evaluation. Everybody who shows up might not be placed in the Battlegrounds, okay? In terms of who makes the decisions, it's the same way that it always is. We do things by commission, by board here, all right? So Coach Ryan, who's our girls director, gets a vote. Coach Tick, our boys director, Coach Andrew, Coach Bobby, Coach Remy, Coach Art, and myself all have a say-so in terms of who makes what team, or in this case, what level. We found that that's the fairest way to do things. We all have had possibly different interactions. We're all going to see different things. So this allows it not to just rest on one person in regards to who makes what level. So we can give everybody a fair evaluation. Now, after you receive the email that says where you've been placed, you will have until that Friday to accept. Okay. And by accept means that you have to register your player by putting down your non-refundable deposit. At the point of registration, though, parents, initially you will not know what 2 days your player will practice on. The practice schedule will be emailed out Monday, the 19th, okay? Reason being, I need to get through all of the tryouts, the boys as well as the girls tryouts. I need to see everybody who's interested. Then I can schedule the gym. Now, once we put out the practice schedule, it's not going to change for the entire season, okay? But that will not be out until the 19th. Let's do a quick recap here, okay? Number 1, when we have tryouts, we always make the decision with all our full-time staff, okay? They're the ones that have a say-so. It's a fair tryout. That's the best way to do things so we all can see your player and get a fair shot so they can make the most appropriate level, okay? We are going to divide them into different levels, black or red. Black is our highest level, okay? At the point of registration, you are not going to know what days your player is going to practice on. It'll be twice a week. You just don't know if it's a Monday, Wednesday, or a Tuesday, Thursday, because I need to see everybody's tryout. I need to see who's all in this, and then I can schedule out our gym. Again, the practice schedule is not going to change for the whole season. That will get emailed out to you on the 19th. As I said, parents, on Monday, October 19th, the practice schedule will be emailed out. Regardless of grade level, everybody practices 2 days a week and they're for 90 minutes. We will have the levels divided off into smaller groups that will be between 8 to 10 players at a basket. Per our COVID-19 policies, we can only have 3 groups on a court. Okay, so it'll be 8 to 10 players within the black level on a court, for as many courts as we needed based on however many players we have at that level, all right? Our directors do our practice plans, and then they meet with our staff and the person who's going to be running the practice. So let me drop an anchor here, because usually in the parent meeting, this is when I dig a little bit deeper just to explain how our practices run, because it is a little bit different on how we do things, all right? So I'm going to put a name to this so that it's just a little bit easier to understand. Let's talk about our girls side. Coach Ryan is our director of our girls. He does all the practice plans for all the grade levels in all the groups, okay? We have grade level curriculums. We have things that we're trying to get accomplished in 3rd grade and 4th grade, 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, 8th grade, because what we ultimately want, parents, besides just your kid having some fun, having a good experience, playing basketball, trying to win, we need to make sure they're developing and being ready for the next year of basketball, ultimately landing in high school, all right? A big thing I always talk about with parents in spring is June, right? June of your 8th grade year or the beginning of your 9th grade year is when the varsity coaches are really taking a look at who are my incoming freshmen, right? That's when we want our players to be prepared and ready. So in order to do that, development's a process. We can't have any errors or any confusion, right? There's nothing worse than this coach comes in and says this, and then next year the coach came in and said that, right? So in order to alleviate or mitigate that problem, what we do is Coach Ryan would end up having the practice plan, let's just say for the 4th grade girls. Coach Remy is the one that will be running that practice time slot, okay? So Coach Ryan has done the practice plan. He will meet with Coach Remy and tell him what we are doing at practice that day with the 4th grade girls, all right? Coach Remy is the person that is then going to facilitate that practice. We got 3 groups on a court, and then we have our trainers or our coaches with each group going over whatever it might be. Hey, we're going over our out of bounds plays. Coaches, this is what the focus is for those. We're going over our drive and kick. We're going over our offense. Whatever it might be, that's facilitated by our court leader. Coach Ryan then will have those different meetings and separate meetings with all the people who are running a court, okay? The reason we do that, again, parents, is because we don't allow coaches to come in here and teach their system. It is not as if this is a right or wrong discussion or argument. It's just about consistency, okay? We need to make sure that we are being very consistent in what we're saying, our terminology, our expectations, so we can make sure we are moving players from year to year. The only thing we want them to have to deal with is the physicality of the game, not having to learn a completely different offense with completely different principles as they continue to age through our system, all right? So that is what happens on our girls' side. That's what happens on our boys' side. That's how we can continue to maintain some quality. That's what we also want, some substance in this season, right? So we want your kid to have fun. We want them to have a good experience, but we got to have some substance. We got to make sure they're learning. Now, let's talk about the other way. Once we have the games, all right, now our coaches will then speak back with our full-time staff or directly to Coach Ryan about what happened, right? Coach Ryan might not see everything that's going on. Okay, we want to hear from our coaches. They're the ones that are out there with the kids. What did they struggle with? What didn't we get accomplished? All right, now I want Coach Ryan to clean that up. It might be something as simple as parents like, hey, well, we're struggling with rebounding. Offensive rebounding is something that they're really struggling with. Okay, the normal person might come in and say, well, we just need to do some box out drills. Coach Ryan might say, yeah, well, we also need to get better shots and get more high percentage shots. So not only do we need to do box out drills, but we also need to space the court better to try to get more high percentage shots so then there's no rebounds, okay? Again, our directors, our full-time staff have the PhD in our system. I want that to be the brain of this, the driving force of this in practice, because that way we can control what's going on. Then we let the players and the coaches have fun in the games doing what Coach Ryan, Coach Tick, our staff has told them to do once we get to gameplay. Players are going to get a total of 30 games. Game schedules are going to get emailed out 1 week after practice schedules. So that's going to land us on Monday, October 26th. So 19th, you'll get your practice schedule. 26th, you're going to get your game schedule. In terms of games, each weekend, we will mix up the teams, all right? Your players are going to get 2 games back-to-back each weekend of gameplay, all right? We're not going to mix the teams up each game. So for the weekend, we'll have those teams predetermined, and then that will be their team for that weekend. Then in weekend 2, we'll change up the teams. In weekend 3, we'll change up the teams again. Parents, if you read the information that was provided on the website, it kind of had 3 options of how we could divide up the teams. And being inter-squad, we want to make sure that things don't turn redundant. Obviously, if we were just a normal, traditional team, we can get some variety in gameplay by going to play different tournaments. You'll see different teams. When you're doing inter-squad, the best way that we found doing it, again, remember, we've done the Summer League for years. We've done this before, is to mix the teams up. That makes makes things a little bit more competitive. Hey, sometimes I'm with my friend, sometimes I'm going against my friend. It makes things a little bit more fun that way, okay? Now, at the end of the season, there's a chance that we might set the teams, do a little bit of tournament. That's something we'll read as the season goes on. We want to make this fun. We want to make this competitive. To continue with that, or to add to that, we are going to have one real ref on the court, all right? I think that makes things a little bit more realistic. We want the stuff to be as normal as possible, even though we're still playing in-house, all right? Teams will not have more than 10 players, okay? So I want to make sure that everybody knows that. And again, it's going to be October 26th when the game schedule comes out. Per our facility guidelines, unfortunately, we're only going to allow players in the gym. All right. During the week, we'll have multiple courts going with multiple groups on there. And per the state mandate, the facility have to stay at 50% in terms of the number of people allowed. However, on the weekends, we will use the guidelines that were used for basketball tournaments during the summer, which did allow one parent spectator per player. Okay. But this rule is going to be very strictly enforced, parents. I know games are times when we like to invite other relatives and have siblings in the gym. That is not what we're going to be allowed to do. All right. So we'll allow one spectator per player to go for games. You can film the games. We don't mind that at all. But we want to make sure that we understand that we have to still do our part and make sure that we're staying within the guidelines that have been outlined to us by the state. Our limit per level is not a set number. Rather, it's going to be governed by three things. One, staying within the COVID guidelines. We can have 3 groups on a court, and I need to be at 50% capacity. Number 2, staffing. We need to make sure we have staff for practices and games. So that leads us to the last thing, which is quality. We want to make sure that we're not just putting players at levels to fill numbers, right? We want to make sure that this is a benefit. We want to make sure there's some quality involved with this. So we're not going to say that there's just going to be 10 kids allowed at the black level. However many players there are, we're fine with it, as long as there's still quality, as long as we can staff it, and as long as I can stay within our COVID guidelines that we need to stay within. That is why, parents, I need to get through all of the tryouts. I need to see everybody first, what levels we're putting people at, what groups that we'll have on the court, kind of map the whole gym out. Then I can send everybody a practice schedule. For Battlegrounds, we require all players to have an M14 reversible jersey. For those players that are returning from our teams or who have trained with us this fall or even in the past, you don't need to repurchase. As long as your player has our training or team practice jersey, doesn't have to be the same one. Either one is fine. They're good to go. For all new players who are first time joining the program or whoever does not have a team or a practice training jersey, you will need to purchase one, and that's done after you get your invite during your registration. We are going to size all the players during tryout, though, just to make sure we're getting and ordering the correct jersey sizes. Yes. In our normal winter team rules, we always allow players to play with us as well as their feeder team. We support high school basketball for sure, 100%. What we don't allow is for a player to play for our travel team as well as another travel team, okay? So that rule is not going to change. What we do want, though, parents, and what we do ask with that rule is that we win the tiebreaker. So if the feeder team and Battlegrounds is running on the same night in terms of practice or game, we have to win the tiebreaker. So as long as that works for you guys, we're totally fine if a player plays with their feeder program during the wintertime as well as play with us. Okay, parents, a couple final thoughts. Number one, there's a parent FAQ that's attached to this email. Please read it. It goes over any adjustments that we're going to make if the state mandate does change, either for the good or for the worse. It goes over those adjustments, so please read that. Number two, this is not our normal winter program, okay? I don't want people to think that this is the normal way that they operate. Battlegrounds is something that is a part of our season, but it's not ever our full season. But this is a great option for us that we have at M14. Obviously, we have our own facility, so this kind of checks all the boxes, and we can make sure that we're following all the rules and still making sure players get better and they have some fun, okay? And the last thing is I need everybody to have some patience and have some understanding. Our goal is to keep the main thing the main thing. That's a phrase that we use around here, and the main thing is our players, okay? We want to still make sure, even through these crazy times, that kids are still getting better, still having a good experience. But parents, I want everybody still to have some patience and some understanding, okay? This is all new to us as well. Not making any excuses. We are still going to have the same goal, get these players better at basketball, okay? But we do have to have some understanding with each other as we maneuver through this, okay? Just because we're in our facility does not mean that our rules are going to change, though, in terms of parent interaction, in terms of parent behavior, okay? I expect this to be one of the best run seasons that we've ever had, all right? So please no yelling at the refs, okay? Let the coaches coach. Let your kid get coached, all right? And just enjoy being in the gym with your player. I think above all, you know, I've always had that kind of sappy story with parents like, hey, let's just enjoy that our kids are playing ball. It goes by fast. But if anything that these times have taught us is just kind of slow down and enjoy things, right? And so we're very fortunate at M14 that we're allowed to operate. We're fortunate, we're humble, we're excited that we can still help young athletes get better at basketball. So we want you guys to come back in the gym on those Saturdays, maybe it's a Sunday, and just enjoy your player. Cheer for them, cheer for the teams. We don't need any yelling at any refs. If we see that, it's the same rules that we always have. We have to excuse that parent and we got to excuse that player, okay? Normally with our teams, we have contracts that parents have to sign during our parent meeting. We're not doing that this year, parents. So I need everybody to make sure we have some patience, we have some understanding, but we're still on our P's and Q's, okay? We're going to make sure we're doing our best job as we can. If you guys have any issues, all right, any questions, any things that you might want to know about, it's okay. Please just shoot us an email and let us know. We can set up a meeting and we can help you, all right? We want what you want ultimately, parent, and that's your player to get better at basketball, okay? So we're on the same side with this. And again, that's something that I always say in every parent meeting with all the teams. Let's make sure we're on the same side and we're helping your kid get better at basketball, having a good experience, making sure that things are competitive. And I'm really excited. The staff is really excited about this season. We're going to make the best out of a pretty bad situation here, but I think it's going to be something that will show that, man, we still can get kids better at basketball through this all, right? And that's what we really want, okay? So let's make sure we read the FAQ. Let's make sure that we understand this is not the normal way that we do things, but we're making the adjustments to make sure we're doing what's best for our players, okay? And then number 3, let's just all have some patience and understanding with each other as we get through this. I expect this is going to be positive, parents. Keep us and hold us to the same standards that you've heard about and that you know us for. And we're going to make sure that we deliver on that, okay? We'll have fun with this. If you guys have any questions, please shoot us an email, info@m14hoops. Other than that, the Wednesday after tryouts have concluded is when you're going to get your results. We'll see you guys in the gym. Thanks.